Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. The AliExpress anniversary sale is coming up next week and I'll have my top 10 video ready to drop the second, and I do mean the very second, that the sale starts. One watch that will not be featuring on that list is the watch that I'm going to show you today. Now, I'm in a privileged position in that some watch brands are keen to see their products featured on this channel. They hope that I will give them a glowing review and that you'll all rush out and buy their watches as a consequence. And so they send me watches for review. But sometimes I get random parcels of watches delivered to my door. I never agreed to review the watch and the company didn't even tell me they were sending it. Now, that sounds like a dream, but sometimes
it can be a nightmare.
Prepare yourself for what is quite possibly the worst watch I have ever been sent. Materially, it isn't awful, but there is just no way I would have ever agreed to review it. And it looks like the brand pulled it from the market shortly after they released it to the market because it has disappeared almost without a trace. Now, I put the pop up today because technically I didn't pay for the watch, but the brand are probably going to wish that they hadn't bothered sending it. Let's flip the camera and roast it. All right, before we even get started, before I show you the watch, good news and bad news. The bad news is I think the brand in question has discontinued this watch. I think, in fact, they have expunged all traces of this watch from the internet. I did a Google search. I could not find one image, and it's a very specific watch, as you'll see in just a minute. The good news is I'm going to give this one away to one of you. So the first person that leaves me a comment that says, I hate it, but I want it, I'll post them the watch. All right, away you go. You don't even know what it is yet, and I'm sure I've got 100 comments by now. I'll pin the winner. If you're not watching in the first 5 minutes, then yeah, you're probably not the winner. It's a Star King. I haven't looked at a Star King in ages. Not an awful brand per se. They do the world's cheapest 4 Hz automatic. I looked at one of those years ago. Obviously, they make it themselves. It was dirt cheap. I think they were like $40 for a high beat auto. This one doesn't have a high beat auto in it, but it does have some rather unusual branding on the box. My Homie. Answers on a postcard, please. Is it My Homie? I just don't know. I'm not sure they knew either when they did that. I'm not sure they knew either what they were doing when they came up with that. Okay, I'm well aware that it's not a Star King design and I'm committing some kind of treason by daring to criticize what is a Gerald Genta design, because this Star King is designed to look like that AP. The AP Royal Oak Offshore, no less. A watch that was launched in 2017 in this particularly garish blue and yellow colour variant for a mere €20,000. Good luck getting one now for that price though. They're probably worth twice that, although personally I've no idea why. There's so much love for Gerald Genta and most of his designs within the watch community that you almost feel like you're criticising the Emperor's New Clothes when you say you don't like them, but these watches just do nothing for me. There is no way I would have said yes to a review of something this monstrous. And particularly this garish as well. Wait till you see what it looks like on my wrist. Does my wrist look small in this? The answer is definitely yes. It is enormous. It doesn't fit me properly. I don't have forearms like Arnie, and I suspect if you don't have forearms like Arnie, you're not going to be able to pull this one off either, especially not in yellow. So how big is the beast anyway? Well, 47mm in diameter, not inconsiderable, 14.3mm thick as well, with a 54mm lug tip to lug tip. Lug width, are you ready? 28mm. Good luck getting straps to fit this bad boy. As supplied, it weighs 150 grams on the rubber strap, although frankly it's more like plastic. It claims 300 meters of water resistance, but more on that later. Flat sapphire crystal, and the movement powering this Royal Oak Offshore lookalike is, of course, the Miyota 8215. And to cap it off, it's an old one. It doesn't even hack. We can see it, but I'm not quite sure why we'd want to see it. 21 jewel hand winding but non-hacking version of the base level Miyota 8000 series movement. Couple of things to note here. AM0369, that is the model number. Here's what happens when you Google search Star King AM0369 yellow. nothing happens. I cannot find a single image of this watch. It was almost like the brand themselves were so ashamed of it that they quickly withdrew it from the market and then rubbed the internet clean of all traces of it. Another interesting thing to note is original design on the back. Perhaps somebody at AP got whiff of this one and reminded them of the fact that it wasn't, in fact, an original design. As I said in the intro, materially it's not appalling. It's pretty solid. 150 grams weight is testament to that. But I just don't think it's particularly well constructed. The bits that move don't really move with any confidence. The crowns, for example. Check the crown stem wobble on this one. I think because the crown is so long, because the movement is just so far away from the crown tip, because it's a 47mm watch with a little movement, that wobbles rather alarmingly. Also, there's not a lot of clearance on either side there with the crown guards. However, that crown is still better than the crown up there at the 10 o'clock that operates the internal rotating bezel. I can't really get it screwed in all the way down, which is why I was questioning the claim of 300 meters of water resistance. When you pull it out, okay, there we are. It rotates that bezel in the other direction, but when you want to screw it back in, it really is very, very difficult to do so. I reckon there are microns between the crown and the case. If you give that the merest thump, I reckon it's never going to screw in again. Back on wrist, it arguably looks even more comical from this angle. With a watch this size, you really need a bit of help from the strap, and I am getting no help from this strap whatsoever. This is it, really tight on wrist. It doesn't fit me, it's quite uncomfortable, and it is cutting off the circulation in my hand. If I take one more notch out of the strap, it doesn't fit at all. It wobbles, it bobbles. It's a pretty hideous on-wrist experience, all things considered. So then, in sum, it's a poorly made knockoff of a polarizing design in the first place, with sizing from a different century and colouring from a different decade. You can see why Starking were hoping for a bit of help with this one, can't you? You can see why they sent this one unsolicited and unrequested to me, hoping that I would give it a gushing review and you'd all buy it. Sorry, Starking. Just didn't happen, did it? So there you have it. What a total hoofer of a watch. I guess Starking decided that this one needed all the help it could get and thought that I could provide it. Sorry, Starking, you sent it to the wrong person. Well done for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you want to watch another roast or two, click here or here. I'll see you again in the next one.